Once again, welcome to BPS's Hour of Code HTML Basics session for the Monday Night Coding series leading up to the Hour of Code on from December 7th through 11th. Nick Gonzalez here. Just wanted to say hi and welcome you personally to our session. It's great to have you here. If you can please just sound off who you are on the back channel, it'd be great. So just so we know who's watching and who's interacting. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go over what the what the Hour of Code actually is. And if you don't know what it is and you want to look it up on your own, go ahead and go to tiny.cc/BPSHOC2015. We're going to talk about hypertext markup language and why we use it. Then we're going to go to our hands-on activity. And then we're going to go to, through a question and answer session towards the end. And again, if you have any questions, even you don't have to wait for the question and answer part of the session. You can go ahead and shoot them anytime through the back channel again, which is at today's meet/BPSHTML. Let's talk about HTML and why it's used and how it's used. For what grades actually it's good for. So as you can see on the slide presented, it's very good for the elementary, even early elementary through middle through high school. Pre-K and K, not so much yet because there's writing involved and there's obviously reading involved as well. So more towards after second, third grade might be a good time to start, all the way through middle and through high school. So primarily what HTML is, again, HTML is short, it's an acronym for Hypertext Markup Language. And what happens is hypertext markup language is a language that's actually used in making websites. What it actually is the code that's written to display the website. So what we see here, what you see in front of you is not actually what you see in the background. What you see right now in front of you on your screen in terms of my slide is what's called the front end. Right? And that's what the people who are using the computer, that's what they see on their screen. And the front end is again, designed for what the user sees. But it's what HTML is actually the code that's used on the back end, right, isn't it? So I'm going to show you what that looks like through here. So again, this is the front end. And this is what people see when they see. This is the front end of HTML. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right-click on one over, for example, this aspect. And I'm going to go into my menu, and I'm going to go into Inspect Element. And here you're going to see both the front end and the back end. So you see on the left side, right here, again, this is a front end. And on the right side, if you look up here, the part elements, right here, this is all HTML. This is all coding right here that people have typed in, and actually what the web service has typed in. But this is all the code that's needed to display this part of the website. Again, this is your left side is your front end, and your right side over here is your back end. And even right here down here, some HTML in here as well. Right? So again, front end, back end. This is the actual HTML, and this is the actual user interface of front end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And again, I got there by going to a website and right-clicking through Chrome. Please use Chrome if you're going to do this tutorial with us. Please open. Chrome is the easiest to use, and it's what we're going to be focusing on. In Safari, there isn't the Inspect Element right-click option, nor is there one in Mozilla or Firefox. So the best bet to go through this tutorial is to go through with Chrome. There are a lot of different ways that you can have make your own site, your own website. And HTML is not necessarily something that you need in order to make your own site. As a BPS teacher, you already have access to many free website making through your Google Apps application. So if I go here and I go through my BPS apps launcher, you can see that if I click on my sites through the apps launcher, you can create your own site using your Google account. And you don't need HTML in order to do this. You can also go to Wix.com, and they provide free web hosting services, and their website construction is very easy to use, point and click and drag and drop. You can also go to Wikispaces. All right. Another way you can do it. So these are all free web construction sites, and they're easy drag and drop, point click type of websites, you don't need to know HTML in order to do them. However, if you want your own domain name in your subdomain, so for example, if you want to, instead of having, www.wix.whatever, blah, 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 whatever you want, and you just want to have www.myfavoritesite or whatever name, whatever domain name you'd like, it gets a little bit more complicated. Okay, so what happens when you do something like that is, and you want to completely construct your own site with no templates or anything like that, you just want to use your own HTML and build a website space or website from scratch. This usually means buying some sort of online service or through some sort of web hosting service. Like for example, you go through GoDaddy.com. And you can see right here, web hosting services for $4.99 a month. You can come with your own domain name for $2.99 a month. And this is where the big, the really strong web developers, the ones who have strong skills, and this is where they go to make their own websites completely from scratch. But we're teachers, we're not web developers. So, this is not something that we're really stressing that you do or want you to do. And this is not what we're going to be doing tonight. And furthermore, if you were going to do this, if you're going to make something from your own from scratch from HTML, you would also need a HTML editor. And one way is and there are many different free editors you can use from. Some you can use. One of the best is Firebug on Firebug, which is done through Mozilla or Firefox, and you add it on to your Firefox browser, and you do your HTML editing through there. But again, this is not something that we're going to do today. This is just something to let you know that this is what's out there. If you want to further your HTML skills past today, feel free to go ahead and continue with the tutorial that we're going to go on with today, because we're only going to do the intro section. And again, these two services that I offered, like GoDaddy.com and Firebug, and again, web hosting services and web editor and HTML editor. HTML editors. They're only for the people who are in the know, the people who work, for the most part, work in HTML for a living. This is not something that, we teachers, unless you're really good, we teachers have a lot of time to do on the side. So what we suggest is actually going to your BPS launcher and making your own website, just dragging and dropping. However, knowing some HTML is always good in this situation as well, because most easy, point and click web development services like Google Sites or Wix or Wikispaces, they all have an HTML editor inside them. So you can point and click and drag and drop and type, but you can also look on the back end of what you're doing. You can actually look at the code as well. And that's why I think it's a pretty interesting thing good thing to know in terms of your own web design, because sometimes you can't do something through the regular drag and drop process. You have to go into the code to fix it. But again, for all intents and purposes, as teachers, one of our best bets to make our own websites, or to have our students make their own websites, or even their own digital portfolios, or their own spaces to compile their work, or compile resources. Just basic Google Sites is good. WordPress is good. Wix is good, and some of the other web services that I mentioned, web construction services. So we're going to go ahead and go through this. So I asked all of you who are watching to please, I asked all of you watching to have gone to codeacademy.com to register and to just to register. And then I told you that we're going to do the tutorial together. And that's where we're going to start right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my tutorial section. And for this section, I'm going to jump back into Safari. But again, please use Chrome. I actually have it in Chrome, so don't worry about it. Yes, please use Chrome. I thought I put the Chrome. I thought I put Code Academy in my Safari, but it's actually on my Chrome. So yes, just feel free to use. So this way it won't be so confusing. Please go to your section. I know it's going to say, please go to the Build Your Own Website module. It's going to show up right now. It's going to say that there's a certain percentage of mine done already, and because I've done it already. But I'm going to start from the beginning. So please go to the Make a Website module. And it should say build a recent version of Airbnb's homepage and learn the fundamentals of web development in the process. Yours will say 0, it'll just say start. I know mine says 22% because I've worked through it before, but I'm starting over to show you what needs to be done. And right here, it's going to say HTML and HTML plus CSS. You're going to want to make sure that this says HTML on your left. So the intro, Web pages are created using HTML and CSS. What do these languages do? So again, HTML, hypertext modeling markup language, is an actual code language, and CSS stands for cascading style sheets. They're both used in web production. However, HTML is the more integral aspect of it, of web development, because it deals more with the text. The CSS deals more with the layout and the design of the site, not necessarily the content per se. So today we're going to be using, we're going to be working on the basics. So come here, go down here to got it, click on check. So the first thing you need to know is that in HTML, there are certain parts, there are certain what are called tags or elements, just like I showed inspect element in Chrome feature. When I double click on this, for example, inspect element comes up, because that's why what it's doing. It's inspecting the different elements within the website or the web page. And so you can see HTML elements are the building blocks of web pages. The web page to the right is made up of a collection of HTML elements, and you can see them all right here. And each one is blue. Now, what they do is describe each piece of content on the page, so a web browser knows how to display it. So again, this shows what we see, and what the computer sees is what's called the backend, or the actual language, the actual HTML. Today we're going to cover the 5 most common HTML elements, and the first one being the heading element. So headings are described by heading element, and there are 6 levels of heading element, H1 to H6. Okay, so H1 usually means heading 1, and you can find headings within Microsoft Word, or you can find them on within Google Docs and whatnot. And again, a heading is just, again, what it means, a heading. It's boldface letters that indicate the type of content that's going to usually exist underneath it. So the H1 element is used to describe the main heading of a page. Right, so H1, the main element of the entire page, is going to be described by H1. And so you can see right here, opening tag and closing tag. So I'm going to go into tags really quickly here as well. So this is what's called a tag, and you can see the bracket, and you can see what type of element it's going to be, and then you see a closing bracket, a closed bracket. Right. So again, open bracket, element, then close bracket, and then you have the closing tag, which is bracket, backslash, and then you have the element with another bracket. Right? Again, you have bracket, backslash, and the type of tag or the type of element, and then another closing bracket. Okay. So again, this is what the backend sees. So we're going to try it out now. Okay, we're going to change the text of the H1 element from find a place to stay to this is the main heading. Right? And so you can see right here, now you can see both the back end right here and the front end. Here. So right here, find a place to stay, right? You can tell this is the H1, this is the H1 right here. This is the heading, the main heading of the page. And you can see as I go lower, right, you'll see the rest of the page, but this section right here, this is actually the H1. And we can see because it's the largest, most bold-faced text on the page. So change it, what Code Academy is asking us to do is to change the text of the H1 element from find a place to stay to this is the main heading. Okay, so go over here to my backend, to the backend, and I'm going to go ahead and change this. Delete, 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 delete. I'm going to change it to this is the main heading. So you can see I just typed those in. This is the backend, and this is what it looks like on the front end. So even though they don't look anything alike, the computer picks it up as this big writing, even though it's just small. So again, all the code, all the HTML that you're going to see is going to be this same size. However, on the front end, it's going to look very different. Okay, so I'm going to go to our next section. So similar to a news article or a Word document, headings in a web page are usually followed by paragraphs. And paragraphs, ironically, are started with a P element tag, or a P tag, as you can see right here. In HTML, paragraphs are described by paragraph elements, or again, our P elements. And again, they're right here at the front and the back. And again, we have our opening element tag, which is a P, and our closed element tag. And again, this is what the front end is not going to see these tags. It's just going to see the text that's in between them. Okay, so it says below the H1 element, add a P element that says rent from people in over 34,000 cities and 192 countries. Okay. I'm going to come here to my right, and I'm going to start another line. I'm going to go open bracket, I'm going to write P, close my bracket, and then I'm going to write rent from people in over 34,000 cities and 192 countries. I'm going to close again, just like I would do before, just like I did with the headings, just like I did up here. I got to close my tag out, my element tag out. So I'm going to click here, and then slash, and then P, and then bracket. And you can see how I added my paragraph text right on the bottom, right? Back end, front end. Now, the defining feature of the web is the presence of links, right? And so again, what we see, usually the links that we can click on within an area of content is where, is one of the things that makes web pages so dynamic and websites so informational, is the ability to click onto other pages from a certain page. And again, this is done with links, right? So clicking on links leads to other web pages, and the A element is used to create links. Now, unfortunately, A has nothing to do with what the word link is. But an A element is similar to an H1 or P element, but has two key differences, right? So what usually happens is an A element links to what's called an href attribute, right? Element attribute. And the attribute's name is you always have followed by an equal sign. And then after that, you're going to have quotes, the attribute value being the actual website where it's going to link to, close bracket, and then the link text, right? And then right here, you're going to close your element off, your A element off in this section. Again, so again, A href equals HTTPS, right? This is again the web address, and closed off with a bracket into search, and then closed off with the A element again. Okay, so one functions just a little differently, but let's try it out. Okay, and again, you use the href element for the link and to link and the word that the link is attached to. So link and word that the link is attached to. Okay, so right here it's asking me first change the link address to https://airbnb.com/locations, then change the link text to learn more. Okay, so again right here it already has it written out for me. So again we have bracket A href equals, then you have quotes. Then after the quotes I'm going to put in https www.airbnb.com/locations. Right. And then change the link text to learn more. So I'm going to go ahead, it's closed off here. And so what I have to do now is that I have to type in learn more. As you can see on my front end, I've just made a link that attaches to this actual website. Okay, so it's all there. So I'm going to go ahead and press I got it. The fourth section I want to cover is the actual image. Is inserting an image into HTML or into the backend. The difficult thing to understand here is that you don't actually use an image within code, within HTML. HTML, there are no pictures or anything like that. It is all syntax. It is all words and numbers and slashes and whatnot. Okay, so there's no actual picture that you ever deal with in terms of using your code. You never see a picture within the code. It's always going to be syntax. So in addition to headings and paragraphs, a web page can have images, obviously. The img element is used to add images to a page. The image element is an attribute inside the opening bracket img bracket tag named src. The src attribute has the address of the image. So what happens in HTML, when you actually use an image, you have to use it from the internet. Okay, so if you're writing something from scratch and you need to you have to insert a picture somewhere, you have to actually have that picture on the internet somewhere. You can't just upload it from your local drive. Okay, you can, if you're using an editor on, for example, in Google Sites and whatnot, you still have to upload your picture into the Google into your Google Drive, and then it actually takes a picture from there, and then inserts it into a IMG tag or an IMG element. Okay. So the SRC meaning source attribute has the address of the image. So let's go ahead and go to the next section and see what it asks us to do. So let's try it out. Okay. Change the image address to https go.gl and bnqbl. Okay, so you can see it's different from here. So you can see right here the image source, right? This is the tag, this is the element, and this picture is the website right here, right? So this website right here is this picture. So I have to change this, okay? I'm going to go ahead and change this out to this address right here. So it's NBNQB. Oh. And you can see Google already knew what picture that was, and do you see how it changed? Okay, so you can see this is how you change pictures in HTML code. IMG, SRC, equals, and then the actual address of the picture that you want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and start it here. Now the next section is a UL and the LI section. So in addition to paragraphs and images, content can be presented in lists. In HTML, a bulleted list is described as a UL element. Each item in the list is placed inside an LI element. So you can see UL, this tag right here, essentially lets us know that the bulleted list is going to come out, and then the LI tag essentially just shows the bullet. Right? Again, you have your UL tag at the top, and you close it with another UL tag at the bottom. And you can see there's your slash again that closes you off. Again, slashes right here after the LI element. The bulleted, the bullet listing is closed here as well. So right now, the bulleted list comes up at the top as a navigational aspect of the front end. And you're going to see this change because this counts as a list in HTML. It can go down, up to down, or left to right. So first, it's going to ask me to change the LI element from brand to home. Change this out. And it also asked me to change browse to about. You can see they both change right here in this listing. You can see they both change again. This is a UL element, and these are the bullets that are within the UL element. And they're, again, opened. UL is started, a bulleted list was started with UL, and the bullet element, the actual bullets are started with an LI. Okay, now this next part is going to talk about the HTML element and the body element. Okay, now what happens in HTML is that all HTML has to be, when you're working on a website or a web page, every single page you're working on has to start with a doc type, right? And in doc type, this is usually just a reminder for whoever is working on it as to which type of HTML it is. And then the HTML tag. Now this starts and begins everything. So every type of HTML web page that you see will always begin with an HTML at the top, and will always close at the bottom with HTML. So after all the code that's written, sometimes hundreds of lines, you'll see an HTML close tag at the end. And you'll always see this at the beginning. Okay? Then under that, you'll have the body element, which contains the actual content of the web page. So everything nested inside body and inside the body tags shows up in the web browser. Okay, so after HTML, you're almost always going to see body as well somewhere. So again, these nest everything. Hundreds of lines of code usually go between these two types of elements, the HTML elements and the body elements. So again, the doc type is the start of the HTML file, tells the browser which version of HTML you're using. The doc type is non-HTML element, so it does have a closing tag. It doesn't have a closing tag. So this essentially, again, doc type tells the web author or the person who's using HTML what type of HTML is being used. Okay, but don't worry about that so much right now. We're just going over the basics. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and this is going to take us to our first actual back-end tutorial, and we're gonna stop it at this one here, and we're gonna stop it after we're done with this next activity. Okay, so we say great job, yay, we did it, and we're gonna go to the next section. We're just gonna do the first one for this. Okay, and this is usually right here. This is this type of editor is usually the type of editor you'll see when you're editing via the web or using other type of web. You know, if you're using Firebug or you're using other types of web editors, this is essentially what you're going to see. You're always going to see numbers going down the side and all this different types of code. And I showed you in the inspect element section when I set part of the session more towards the beginning. So we just learned about 5 HTML elements. Now let's see how to use them together to start creating an Airbnb web homepage. Let's start by adding a navigation menu to the page. This can be done by writing a UL element inside of the body element. Remember, everything starts with this HTML and body, and everything always closes with these two. Okay? A UL element describes a bulleted list, and we talked about that already. Now, let's do what it tells us to do. On line 6, it says change the LI element to the text of your name. Right? Oh, and it just happens to be there already, but I'm going to go ahead and write it again. Okay? And on line 7, I'm going to go ahead and erase this as well. It's going to ask me to write in browse. Very super easy, right? All you had to do was look for the bulleted list, just like we went over in the last section. And I'm just going to press save and submit code. And it was good, right? It says way to go. But let's see, let's mess it up and see what happens when it doesn't work. Let's put L, and let's just forget to write the I, right? And let's put no bracket here. So if you see this, when this comes up, do you see my code? How right here on the left, because I don't have a bracket and because I don't have an I in the back following the L, my code doesn't come through correctly. And so if I were to go full screen and check it out on the front end, because this is the front end on the right side, this is what it's going to look like. And that doesn't look right. So I'm going to go ahead and press back right here. You can see it took me back here. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. I'm going to put my bracket. I'm going to put my I. And you can see how it comes up correctly now. Same submit code. And I did it right. So we're going to go ahead and stop right there for a minute. I want to know, are there any questions on this part? I know there was a lot of content involved. I know that there's a lot. It's a lot to take in. But again, thinking about coding is thinking differently about the way we see things on a computer. We're essentially talking to the machine, and it's doing what we're telling it to do on the front end. I would like to go to check out the website that we just went to, right? And I'm going to show you how to look at the HTML for example, on a simple construction website like G-Code, like Google Sites, right? And again, everybody has access to Google Sites through their apps launcher, again, which is in the corner. Here's your apps launcher, and you can see Sites is right here. So let's take a look at what kind of code I'm looking at right now. Of course, we can always go to the inspect element aspect of Google Chrome. And again, this isn't on Safari, and I don't believe it's on Firefox. So you can access this from anywhere on the web. Whenever you're surfing, all you have to do is right-click, and again, this small menu will pop up, and inspect element is on there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it open again. But this is one way to see what's been written. And I know it's a lot more than we went through, and there's divs in there, and there's all these different XML parts. Don't worry about that. It's okay if it's overwhelming. This is just what it looks like when when Google is doing stuff for you too. Because this is a simple website, and what happens when you use these simple website construction services like Google Sites or like WordPress or Wix or Wikispaces is that most of the HTML is done for you. They still use HTML, but it's automated. And so what's happening is the computer is writing the HTML for you when you write things down and don't go through the HTML aspect. So every time you change something here on this side, it changes it for you over here. So it's still, these simple construction websites still use HTML, except that it's automated. Now, let's go ahead and get out of this aspect. Okay? We're going to get out of inspect element, and we're going to go into we're going to go into my edit aspect, my edit options, I'm sorry. And we're going to go down and take a look at what's being done, right? Now I can take a look, I can edit from here, I can type in here and do different things from here. And again, when I do this, the computer and the machine, and Google is just writing it for me in HTML, right? But if I wanted to, I can come up here to my toolbar at the top and click on, oh my God, what's right there? HTML. And I click on it, and here we can see everything that we've gone through already, right? So right here, I don't have an H1 heading, I have an H2 heading, right? And I can change this right here if I wanted to, but if I wanted to change it to H1, not much is happening, but it's just telling me that I'm just letting it know that I want that. The front end know that I want this to be the main title of the page, or the words that represent the page. So I can take a look at that, and it says, hello, welcome to my first website. So it looks a little bit different than it did before. It's a bit more, bigger, a little more pronounced, right? But if I go back and change it to H2, obviously, it's going to become smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and check that out. I'm going to preview it. And you can see it's become a little smaller. And you can see, oh, here is our paragraph tags again, right? And you can see here are some of the things that we have learned. We learned that the different elements, such as, and you can't say those didn't come out that well. And these are tags that I essentially inserted into the text, and the HTML compiler or the HTML reader doesn't pick it up that well. And so, and we learned how to link things, right? So if I look at this, you're going to see that this pops up. These texts. This text right here is going to show up as something different. H tags and P tags, right? And so sometimes HTML, Google wants to look it up and interprets it its own way and kind of messes up the content a little bit. But you can see this is my paragraph. This is my paragraph section, right? And these are initiated by P's. P, P, open P, close P, open P. Oh, and look what we have right here. We have an href. Remember what an href was? An href is yes, it is. It's a link. And link is, this is the actual link. This is the actual URL, which is tiny.cc/BPSHOC 2015. And remember, this links to the word here. So here is actually the linked word that goes to this website. And you can see right here in my preview, oh, look, if I click here, it's going to take us to, oh, I guess this might be just running a little bit slow tonight. So let's, we'll check back on that a bit later. But this will obviously take us to tiny.cc/BPSHOC 2015 homepage. Okay, and let's go to the last part, the HTML part. So right here, and the last section is our image tag, our image element. And again, our image element, the source of it is Google sites.google.com. This is the URL. And this is the logo that we've been using. It shows the style and the margin. Don't worry about this so much. All I wanted to show you was the actual URL code that needs to be used in order to display an image. An image source equal URL, and then we close it off at the end of the bracket. Right? And so watch what happens when I take away, for example, the RS. Oh, what happened? You can see how sensitive the code is and how everything has to be correct when you're doing code. That's why it takes so long to make websites. Oh, seems like something went right. Looks like it went away. So I'm going to go ahead and just press my back button. It's there again. And you can see that I'm going to go back into HTML, and you'll see that my image is back. So again, be careful when you are coding, because every little piece of text counts. And that's going to do it for our tutorial session. And I'm going to go ahead and update it again. And again, you can see the HTML editor within Google Sites is great. You can make sure that it's working correctly. And then you can go back and check out your HTML, and then you can just update it. And you can credit from there. OK. So we're done with the Code Academy part. If you want to learn more, please, by all means, keep on going with your tutorial. This will tell you almost every critical step you need to know to make your own website and to monitor the HTML. It goes into divs. It goes into different types of fonts and whatnot. It will show you how to make your own website, and you can pretty much learn how to do something very basic in about 2 days, about 6 or 7 hours. Code Academy is a great website, and it's a great website to get the kids involved with too as well. Again, not just for making personal websites, but for doing history projects on different historical figures, or English projects, or math projects, or computer science stuff. And it's a great way for them to make their own digital portfolios, and to organize their work in a certain way as well. Or teachers, if you want to make your own website and have your students interact with you that way as well. I mean, it's really a good skill to have if you're into web authorship and really like social media. So by all means, please continue going on your own with HTML. We just wanted to cover the basics today. Here's some of the resources in case you missed them. Hour of Code, obviously, Hour of Code website. Please sign up. Every teacher who signs up gets a $10 gift certificate online. So please register through Hour of Code. If you're doing Hour of Code with your students this year, please go to tiny.cc BPS HOC 2015, and we're going to go there in a second. I'll show you. Lots of prizes to be given out. Let us know. Let us be recognized. Let OIT and BPS recognize you, because we really want to help get computer science into schools. It's going to be a critical literacy that all our students are going to need when they graduate from high school and college, and it's something they need to know to get into the jobs of tomorrow. Code Academy is right here as well. It's a great way to teach yourself not only HTML, but other languages, Ruby on Rails, Python, Java, JavaScript, all that good stuff. Google Sites, again, is available via your apps launcher and your BPS account. So every teacher essentially has access to it. And again, our web space won't be counted. We have infinite web space, so it's a great thing if you want to develop a very elaborate website. Wikispaces at wikispaces.com if you want to try that out. And custom URL shorteners. One of the ways, and I didn't go into that this much, but if you want to make a Wikispace or a Google site, but you don't want it to be that long, we encourage you to go to bit.do or tiny.cc, where you can customize your own website name, your own URL name. We did it with Hour of Code. Originally, our Hour of Code website was about 100 characters long. So we cut that down to BPS HOC 2015, which obviously means Boston Public Schools Hour of Code 2015. But bit.do is a great way to go about it. I'll show you how to do it right here. And so right here is all you do is get the link, the URL that you want to shorten, put it in here, and then customize your link with whatever you want. And so, for example, if you're doing something on, Mr. Considine's Hour of Code class, and you have something set up, and then you want to change that, from a URL that has a bunch of numbers and letters to, again, Mr. C's code course, Mr. CCC. You can just do that right here by just pressing in, C coding, Mr. Considine's coding class. And so, for example, if I had a very long, website like this, and I could change it. I'm not going to, but I'm just going to show you how you do it. You would just enter it in here, and automatically this will turn into bit.do/MrCC if this just happened to be Mr. Considine's coding class. And all you would do is press shorten, and this would automatically become the new web address. So again, this is free. You can also do it at tiny.cc as well. Great ways to make your life a lot easier in terms of managing different websites. Again, if you haven't gone to Hour of Code already, please go there. And if you haven't pledged yet, please do it. Go ahead and go to tiny.cc, BPS HOC 2015. So as you can see right here, we have our new video up. Again, pledge right here if you haven't done it yet. Our pledge button's not showing up for some strange reason, but I'm going to go ahead and reset it. There we go. Take the pledge. So if you haven't let us know about that you were doing Hour of Code with your classes, please let us know, because we've got a lot of different prizes coming up. Right here we have different contests. For if you're teaching your kids Scratch, we have Scratch Challenge, 2 of them. And again, there's going to be numerous prizes given away for both of these. We have our Web Design Challenge. Right, creating an original website. So it's something that I just showed you something using code right now. So we encourage you to go ahead and use the HTML that you just learned to make your own web design. The website or your own space. We have App and Game Development Challenge. Right, so if you're into using Java, JavaScript, or Python, visualizing math, Flash, Smart smart logo, and everything else challenge. So if you have anything else going on with robotics or BBots, or you're just working on your own thing using different types of code or computer languages, please, by all means, enter this challenge here as well. Again, we're getting different prizes for all over the place, from Acer, Follett, Twitter, Microsoft. So there's lots of stuff coming your way. And again, don't forget to sign up at code.org, and that way you'll be able to get your $10 gift certificate, I believe, from Amazon, iTunes, and one other website. So please, again, check out our page, check out our website. It's being constantly updated. Check out our new video as well. And we have other PD opportunities coming up. We just finished our second one. And again, if you just happen to have missed this, or you know someone who wants to learn about HTML or Scratch Junior, please point them to our website, and please point them to our trainings page, because we publish all of our work that we've been doing. So obviously today is week 2, November 9th. Look within the next couple of days for this training to be up here through YouTube as well. And obviously next week you're going to get game programming and star logo, computing with visualizing math, and then the last week we're going to cover Scratch again live. And if you need any kind of face-to-face help, please let me know. Email me at ngonzalez@bostonpublicschools.com, which is on your Google Classroom. My Gmail account is again posted in the Google Classroom. And if you need any type of information or want to know anything, please let me know. Again, we're really trying to get computer science into schools this year, and we want to make this the jumping off point, because again, it's a critical literacy that all our students are going to need to know. Okay, so again, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being a part of this and listening. Sorry for the hiccups, for the technical hiccups. It was a great time. I had a great time showing you, HTML. This is a passion of mine. I think it's really interesting to know. It's very interesting to know how you can read other people's code and how you can actually implement their code into yours. And it was great to be here. Haroon and I thank you. The digital learning team thanks you, and hopefully we'll see you next week for Star Logo, and hopefully we'll see you for Hour of Code. Thank you very much.